2026, Blizzard promises it's going to be a huge year for their games. And of course, if they're talking about their games, you know, one of their biggest ones, World of Warcraft, is certainly going to be front and center. What are we going to get in 2026? Here's a quick look ahead from Soul So Breezy. You'll definitely get Samiccus streams.
Hey,
Yeah,
it's
that's for
Soul,
sure.
and this is the final episode of Warcraft Weekly for 2025. Ooh, scary. You can help support the channel by liking this video, subscribing for more WoW coverage, and catching me where I'm live. We got pretty much all the upcoming dates, so let's go over them. The week of January 20th, so that's like a month from this video, that's going to mark endings and new beginnings. On the 19th, the Legion Remix comes to its glorious end, and you'll want to check your progression to ensure you've completed all the, all the important achievements and collections. Shortly after, the Midnight pre-expansion patch will launch, introducing a truckload of changes and new additions, and let's quickly go over those. There's this combination of changes coming at midnight, one of the most impactful being changes to add-ons. Add-ons like weak auras, which with combat data will no longer work at all.
His shirt is cool, but it's the wrong Lich King. Unfortunate choice on his part.
Will have very limited functionality. But from the ashes, new add-ons are trying to position themselves to be the next big thing. I've talked about this at a high level, but I've been mostly avoiding the whole roller coaster of changes happening.
Yeah, I would say the start of 2026, this is what it's going to be about for sure. With pre-patch rolling out, there's going to be two major things happening in WoW. One, playing the game without add-ons. You know, a lot of add-ons that people have gotten used to, a lot of weak auras and shit. Now, like just the cosmetic shit will still be around, but a lot of the combat-based stuff will no longer exist. So people learning how to play with that. And then also people learning how to play their classes, because there's going to be like this big pruning of shit going on. And a lot of rotations are going to change, a lot of ability bloat being taken out. We'll see. So there's going to be a lot of learning early in the year of how to play this new version of WoW for sure.
New UI additions are being added to replace some of the affected add-on functionality, while we switch to a kind of add-on 2.0 philosophy for add-on creators to update or create new add-ons that make nice with all these updates. A lot of these add-on changes will happen with the pre-patch, and another round is expected to happen in a 12.0.1 patch happening before launch. Now, that's always been the plan, not to pretend that Blizzard can replace everything, but to also set the stage for a new generation of add-ons to fit this updated approach to combat.
Yeah, and a new way to play. I mean, Blizzard's talking about less interrupts, more visually striking, stuff in the game to be visually, that you could see what's going on and know what needs to happen to survive. Just a different way to play. Less mobs, less casts from mobs, so like an easier way to play. Boss fights and raids, completely different design philosophy because they don't have to worry about add-ons trivializing certain combat mechanics. So WoW is going to be different. For sure. Is it going to be a good different? We'll see.
That doesn't make add-ons feel required to participate. As we get close to the pre-patch and the launch, though, you can expect me to cover a whole dump of new add-ons to suggest, and others that survive the shift into midnight. For now, though, I'm in a kind of mourning period. The nature of the nameplate scrolling combat text add-on, it's totally incompatible with the changes, so, well, thank you for your service over the years. Tons of class and spec changes are happening with the goal of reducing button bloat while preserving high skill. Folks have had mixed reactions so far, and it's not really going to be until we hit Season 1 of the expansion when we can get like a good sample of how these changes translate across skill levels and content designed all around these combat changes. It is going to feel weird at the start, to the point where in a recent announcement, Blizzard said that they would give a 6 to 10% throughput increase to the current tier sets to offset what seems like what are going to be nerfs with all the changes.
For sure.
It's kind of an alert to at least complete your tier set bonuses on alts by the time midnight launches. Less impactful, but still very much a thing, there's a stat and item level squish coming. Expect item levels to be cut to about like a fifth of what they are now, with probably plenty of issues to deal with considering the past 11 WoW expansion.
Yeah, I've been seeing like heroic level gear being like in the low 200s, so there's definitely a major squish happening here. I mean, I think I would, if I had to predict it, I don't know what the exact squish number is going to be, but right now, based on what cap is, we're probably dropping, if you're in the 600s, or you're probably going into the 3s, maybe. So they're cutting it in half, probably, in terms of item level.
I'm going to keep an eye out for how soloable Dragonflight content is going to be after the patch because, well, when the War Within came out, Blizzard was pretty on top of making sure Shadowlands raids were very solo friendly. The new Devour spec for Demon Hunters will be available straight away, and there's going to be a questline to unlock Demon Hunters for the Void Elves. The big update to Transmog is also happening in the pre-patch. There's going to be a new menu and outfits we can set up so we can always switch back to these without additional cost. Situations will also let us set up conditions where we change our outfits in cool and dynamic ways. It's easily cool. One of my favorite features coming in the patch. PvP training grounds are coming. It's basically comp stomp for not just Arathi Basin, but also Silver Shard Mines and Battle for Gilneas. A quick blurb on housing, it appears it'll still be considered in an early access state during the pre-patch, meaning gamers will need to wait a little bit longer before they can start earning more levels or use rooms that are currently locked, namely the Artisan Skybox rooms. Concerning leveling, if you really...
Player housing going to be big for the 2026, no doubt. There's going to be so much shit coming out for it. We're probably going to see... They said maybe like 6 months in we'll start to see trading post items. They did say they're going to hold back on that for a little bit. But, I mean, we probably got Hearthsteel coming out, right? You probably got that new currency. So you got store items happening. And then just housing items everywhere. More and more iterations on player housing. Maybe more stuff beyond the Night Elf and the Blood Elf stuff, which is coming in 2026. More racial aesthetics available. But it's going to be a big one. People love player housing.
Really want to? You can farm up extra experience ahead of time so you can get a leg up on increasing your budgets right away once these levels are unlocked. The highlight, in my opinion, the ability to adjust lighting at your home, and this is unlocked at level 6. That's all stuff to expect the week of the pre-patch. Now, on the week of January 27th, 1 week later, the pre-expansion event begins, and on top of that, we get the Winds of Mysterious Fortune buff to assist with leveling.
Yeah.
After a month, there's going to be an early access period for Midnight a few days prior, but the official launch will happen March 2nd, 3 p.m. Pacific worldwide. I'm going to be here for both the early access and
March 2nd. And by the way, it's like 3 days earlier on for those early access people, the people who got the Epic Edition, which means it will be February 27th, is it? Yeah, February 27th, like a Friday launch. Yeah.
General release party, so join me here for the fun. Season 1 of Midnight begins about 2 weeks later, the week of March 17th. There are 3 raids of different sizes, so I'm going to throw the whole schedule on screen. It's a lot to look at. The first week includes the Voidspire and Dream Rift raids in everything but Mythic difficulty.
Voidspire, the thing behind my head right here says March 31st, by the way, and this is April 7th.
Will launch with the first wing of Raid Finder, while the Dream Rift only has 1 wing anyway. The Delve in PvP season will also begin that week. Week 2 will feature Story Mode, Mythic difficulty, and the second wing of Voidspire. Mythic will also release for Dream Rift, and Season 1 of Mythic Plus will begin, basically mirroring what happened with Season 1 of The World Within. On Week 3, a new raid will open up, the Isle of Quel'Danas, on normal and higher difficulties, being a smaller raid.
This is going to be interesting. There's like 3 raids opening up, right? So we're going to have a raid opening up even after the start of the season. So we're going to have like a mid-season hype, kind of, right? With the 3rd raid opening up in the middle. So this will be fun, I think. It'll make the season feel, I don't know, less like front heavy. You know, you'll be able to kind of have something new to do in the middle of the season. I'm kind of interested in how this is all going to play out with a 3 raid system.
Voidspire opens up.
Might be better.
Finally, on the 4th week, the Quel'Danas raid gets both Story Mode and Raid Finder. Outside of the multiple raid thing, we get a lot of the familiar patterns, and we're entering the 3rd
2 weeks later, basically,
expansion without a whole borrowed power system on the level of, like, soulbinds and artifact weapons and the Azerite gizmos or whatever, but we are going to see how the game moves and shifts under the shadow of housing. Sort of like Delves, we're going to see this other emergent audience find their voice as we see decor trickle out through patches and endeavors,
there's gonna be a lot of
promotions, and so much more. We'll observe discourse over how rewards are trickling out and the in-game shop and how races are prioritized. It's gonna be fun. Speaking of housing, I want to touch on a recent development from the Midnight Beta. Blood Elf and Night Elf housing made their debut.
Right.
I have a video with some early reactions and impressions of the different options available, notably how Blood Elves have some very extravagant options. Unsurprisingly, with 2 races of opposing factions having their housing revealed at the same time, there's a bit of that, faction jabbing going around, with more than a bit of grumbling over how Night Elf housing feels a little bit less at the moment, with fewer options and a vibe that fits the more modern style. And
I mean, wouldn't you expect it though? I feel like in general, Night Elf architecture is just not as grandiose as Blood Elf architecture. I play Alliance, right? I don't deal with the Horde, but I'm okay with the Blood Elf architecture being a bit more over the top. It just fits them, right? Where Night Elves, I mean, shit, they live in trees, man. They build tree houses. I mean, of course they're going to be a little bit less.
Instead of, also optionally having the original Kaldorite Empire with its own blends of extravagance. We'll see if more is added in the coming month or months, because it's not certain whether this new housing will release with the pre-patch or a little bit later with Midnight's release. If it means a possibility of even more options and polish, especially for the Night Elves, I think I can wait a month, but it'll be pretty cool making a floating spire final boss palace kind of thing.
Darnassus was grandiose in a different way. Yeah, it was, man. Darnassus was the first city I ever saw in the game, because the first character I ever made in WoW was a Night Elf hunter, because I wanted to be a Legolas from Lord of the Rings. So my adventure to Darnassus, I'll never forget it, with the music kicking off and the big Ent sitting in the entrance there, man. Yeah, R.I.P. Darnassus, man. That was a proper Night Elf city. What they got now with this little fucking hole in the ground, it's a joke. What a joke.
The updates also reignited outcry in favor of having, whatever exteriors we want in whatever neighborhood we want. I've heard
Can we burn the new city? I know, right?
The idea of blue-trimmed high elf housing in the Alliance neighborhood, to which I say, yeah, good point. But also, haha, too bad you shouldn't have left in the first place. On a slightly more serious note, my curiosity is getting way ahead of me because, I am wondering, and I just mentioned this earlier, what races will be given the next big treatment? We got orcs, we got humans, that's kind of a gimme being a franchise staple. Next came the elves as testament.
It's going to be troll huts, little troll tents. No, I'm joking. I doubt it would be trolls. If I had to guess, what would be the next one? Maybe Tauren for the Horde? Because Tauren are like a core foundational race for the Horde too. And they have a very specific aesthetic, right? It's kind of comparable to Night Elf, where it's very like naturistic, a lot of leather, a lot of wood, things like that. So I mean, maybe Tauren will be the next one for the Horde, and then for the Alliance, I mean, I guess dwarf, maybe gnome, maybe we get some mechanical shit, right? Gnome could be actually goblin gnomes, right? Goblins for the Horde, gnomes for the Alliance, in terms of like, you can get that mechanical style mecha house shit going. Could be. But if I had to guess, Tauren and dwarfs. Yeah, I know it's not exciting after we just spent an entire expansion with dwarfs, but it'd probably be dwarfs.
To arguably the most used races.
Give us, in the pandas game would be a nice one.
Who's coming next? Like
that would go to both factions.
What's your tier list? Just as importantly though, when are they coming? Because hopefully
panda houses are a very unique aesthetic for sure. That I love the aesthetic. Maybe some people don't, but Mists of Pandaria I thought had a very nice artistic aesthetic.
Won't be like an expansion level wait. Also on beta, we got new achievements from harvesting lumber. Now, as you may know, farming up lumber, it's not a bona fide profession. There's no skill points, there's no specializations, and so on and so forth. It's easy for me to say, hey, I want it to be a full-on profession, but I also speculate that no matter what crazy fangled system we think of, in practice, it's just going to suck at first because you're trying to catch up to the previous 11 expansions, and then we can just cruise. We're amassing these ungodly amounts of lumber. And when the new lumber stuff comes along, it's just going to feel like a quick chore to knock out, a box to check. Anyway, it's not what I wanted to get into, but what we are seeing in beta are requirements to farm up a certain amount of lumber, and then, ta-da, we unlock mounted lumber gathering across the warband. It's kind of funny, we were discussing this in chat the other day, and I figured that achievements, being an old and easy to understand system, that they're the best way to kind of sort of make lumber gathering perks for the warband and then tie that into an existing feature as opposed to dressing up a whole ass new warband profession system with its own.
I maybe not wood, what's it called? I didn't think there would be like a new wood chopping profession, but I did think there would be carpentry. I thought we were going to get like a carpentry profession. I did, and I guess we're not, so that's not happening. What's wrong with dwarves? And they prefer to be called little people? I think gnomes prefer to be called little people. But nothing's wrong with dwarves. They have a cool aesthetic. I always love the Iron Forge look, and even Dornagal is cool. I just think we're kind of dwarved out. That's all. We've just been dwarving around for a while now, so I just think it's not exciting to get dwarf shit right now. But I mean, I'm saying that right now in the middle of war with it. Maybe when they give us dwarf houses finally, we'll be like missing the dwarf aesthetic.
One set of rules. I mean, it would be cool, but how much of that energy could be put into, something shiny and new? And that's most of the show. And as we look back on 2025, Blizzard presented a fun little yearbook to celebrate their accomplishments through 2025. Part of it included goofy stats
1.2 billion.
How many characters died in hardcore WoW, and covering this throughout many of their big titles. I'll leave a link to that in the video description. It's kind of wild. We went through almost all of the War Within during this year. We started it in the middle of Siren Isle progression, and then we dove deeper underground, we traveled to space, and then carved a little slice of Warcraft to call our own.
Man, this expansion, when you look back on it, really was kind of wonky. I mean, we started with this dwarf island, and then all of a sudden we're in freaking Undermined with the goblins, and now, oh wait, now we're gonna go deal with ethereals in outer space. It did take some wild turns, that's for sure. It was definitely a hodgepodge expansion where Metzen was trying to get it ready for Midnight and the Last Titan. That's for sure.
All while smashing.
Oh yeah, and Horonir. Those guys, they did hoary things and then they just disappeared, and now they're coming back. Yeah, there we go.
Bosses into dust and having all sorts of wacky.
Don't forget the Siren Isles. Yeah,
for me has been kind of wild with a share of accomplishments too.
And we didn't talk about the sword. Still did not address the sword. Another expansion. What sword?
We moved here to this new stage. We got to be one of the first people outside Blizzard to check out housing over in their Boston office. I was the first guinea pig to test out co-streaming on the main WoW channel on Twitch, paving the way for lots of other creators to get some extra exposure. I even got my first direct collaboration with Blizzard featuring what's happening in patch 11.2. And now I'm at least trying to position myself as one of the big spaces to feature players' talent and creativity with the Around Azeroth series. I'm inching closer to building a community that can find escape in simple joys. Speaking of, there's a lot of work going on with Around Azeroth. The upcoming episode, it's going to be a bit longer, because if I'm producing a VOD with 5 or 6 visits each week, when nearly 100 of you signed up just this week, I'm going to have to shift and adjust the output a bit. So stay tuned for that, and I'll be spending part of the holiday getting the second channel up so every tour can have its place under the spotlight. Throughout the break, I'll still be streaming and doing tours, just in a more limited capacity, and I hope you join me for that and more as time ticks down to midnight. Thanks to everyone who's been visiting the live streams for the tours and discussions. They have been hella fun. Thanks to our fellow patrons, including newcomers Lammy and Kale. Sorry for not giving you a shout earlier. And a big, big thanks to you. You made it to the end, you fed the algorithm. Woo woo. Please like this video, subscribe for more WoW coverage. Catch me live, and I'll catch you later. Have a fun and decor-filled holiday. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy.
Nice look ahead for the year. I think, I do think 2026 is going to be better than 2025 was for WoW. I've said it before, maybe I'm on copium, but I just think it's going to be better stories, better expansion, momentum's going in the right direction. I think we got some good shit to look forward to. Overall, nice video, though, from Soul So Breezy.